My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C., and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. This is P.O.C. That's impossible light activity. Those are demons that are stalking with the people of the state, just like QCD, stalking with the people of the state, just like the Ontario International Airport, stalking with the people of the state. This is pacing while they're on the skateboard, pacing while they're on the roads and the highways, pacing while the Ontario International Airport is at, by the way, 1 o'clock in the morning, stalking by dipping low as though they're even acting like there's a landing. They're psychotic while they're stalking in planes. They're more psychotic while they're dipping low, as though anyone is believing anything other than what you're clearly seeing, an airport stalking me. Like you see a population stalking, like you see a population stalking with light. This is an entity that's engaged in this conduct because the demons are very hostile right now, because I published a plethora more, and I'm going to continue for the benefit of the public so that you can identify yourself. There will also be a registry, but so you can identify yourself, the license plates, the images of those who are violent sex offenders monitoring my vagina. They are a threat to you and your children. They are a threat to the public, and I will continuously publish that information. The entities engaged in ongoing psychological torture, sexual violence, that's criminal summoning by the Ontario Fire Department. That's going to be removed. The fire department is being removed, and I just captured images of the Ontario Police Department. They're stalking as well. Nothing new there either. These demons are engaged in ongoing ominous stalking, obsessing over me because they're hostile about what I'm publishing on the internet. It's 1:20 a.m. It's published on my website under the documentation highlights. For January 29th, it's published on X. And the entities engaged in what is monitoring my documentation. That's Amazon Prime. That's engaged in the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaged in targeting. And that's how you know Amazon Prime is engaged in psychological torture. There will be damages awarded for psychological torture, that which an entity is engaged in, like Chevron, like ARCO, like Amazon Prime, like Southwest Airlines, like QCD, while they're engaging with a sexual assault and battery with engineered light, touching you and sexually violating you ways that are so unfathomable, and that which you cannot ordinarily even articulate adequately with words, that you have to document it in order to show the harm that you're suffering, while a population shares it. Population that are corrupt businesses like Amazon Prime, who are engaging in that ongoing pattern of conduct. P.O.C. This is psychopathic pacing. They're together. They're not separate. They're maintaining ongoing light activity on the roads and the highways, and doing so while stalking in the path, while they are engaging in what is harassment, because I'm publishing evidence. And remember, everybody that's documented, every license plate is sharing in the ongoing violence that I'm documenting. I documented your license plate. I'm subject to more sexual assault and battery. You're catching those charges. You are all engaging in the criminal system and conspiracy to murder together, and you're all catching the same uniform charges. The entity that's engaging in what is that pattern of conduct with impunity is the one that is going to be relevant for prosecuting civilly and criminally. This is P.O.C. It's currently 1:23 a.m. That's criminal summoning. That's nothing other than a demon in a fire truck. So that means the engineer light is nothing other than red and orange. That's it. It's the same demonic pattern of conduct. It's the same P.O.C. That is the exact same criminal conduct that QCD is committing at 11 last night. This is sexual assault and battery in concert with the people of the state. Okay, this is not sunlight that is also vacillating. They're walking in it as well. They're sharing in sexual assault and battery. This is violence by stalkers who are also demons, engaging what is a maintenance of an environment. And this is the city of Ontario and all the businesses that are engaging in what are service provisions. They're sharing in the gang stalking system, which is committed in furtherance of murder, in concert with the Ontario International Airport that doesn't have any planes landing in the parking lot, and it doesn't have any planes flying over, hovering over with regard to legitimate takeoffs and legitimate operations of the airport. It's pursuant to targeting, just like QCD is last night, where they're sharing in sexual assault and battery with Starbucks, who is sharing in sexual assault and battery right now. The engineer light, which you'll see in my images, vacillating rapidly on the wall. But the fake sun doesn't go anywhere. It's not sunlight. It's as impossible and asinine, which I document for sexual violence by a population who will be documented by venue. They'll be documented by address. In other words, you'll be documented by your images, your information. If I have your social security number, it's going on the internet to identify you. You are not a private citizen. You're a state actor. And that's a business utilizing the business to engage in the City of Ontario sex offense, federal group stalking and monitoring, sexual assault and battery. LA294 is touching while the shadow of their vehicle reaches over here, and they're doing it over and over and over. And last night, QCD goes out of its way to make sure 2 trucks are crossing path because QCD wanted to engage in what is assaulting me that bad. That's how prepared the demons are to engage in sexual violence. And this is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. And you'll see in the images, this is relevant to an ongoing greater pattern of conduct. Demons driving school buses, you already know that they're engaged in sexual assault and battery. Amazon Prime is including itself in the ongoing documentation of terrorism and psychological torture and sexual violence. Amazon Prime is sore about the evidence that I'm publishing as of 2022. That's fine. Amazon Prime has been a sex offender as of the record 2018. I'm going to prosecute Amazon Prime, who was a terrorist and an enthusiastic one. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:42 a.m. The stalking by the City of Ontario. This is the stalking by the City of Ontario, just like Brightview, just like Vector, just like Krispy Kreme. Okay, just like QCD, just like the entity that's maintaining all manner of what is light activity in the specific environment. And this is the same street where the fake sun is setting. This is where it sets in alignment to me. These are all sex offenders. And this is what they're doing all night long. Sexual violence. This isn't sunlight. This isn't the sun. Neither is the sunlight dropping down to the floor in order to touch me in a matter of minutes, 7:17 to 7:23. But the sun's not going anywhere. It's still here over this same fake church as I'm inside of it, as I'm outside of it, in the parking lot on both sides of it, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, where the people are stalking. And they're touching while they're stalking. They're being prosecuted as the sex offenders that they are, conspiring and murder. They're severely mentally ill. That's what the light activity is also telling you. They're also engaged in what is targeting. 9EVD331, BV059, that's a handicap plate. This is P.O.C. And this is the entity that's engaging in what is a means of stalking in the path, where their vehicles are a means of touching. 8SCL069, sex offenders. This is psychopathic pacing. This is what they're doing inside of the OVITT Family Community Library and Engineered Light. It's light activity while they line up and then move around the path. This is all intentional, deliberate. 7AUN765, it's all deliberate. It's not traffic. That's sexual assault and battery. They're doing it hundreds and hundreds of times, and they're doing it at nightfall with that which isn't even their headlights. That's what the entity is doing with regard to monitoring you. They monitor you before they murder you, and it's state action. P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, where the entity has the fake sun over Stater Brothers, where the entity is maintaining that engineer light, and the entity is engaging in what is harassment because they're embarrassed, 9ETD533, for being a documented gang stalker with their mother at a grocery store. This is the entity that's engaging what is stalking as an airport over that grocery store, where there's no takeoffs perpetually throughout the city, and where the sun is not everywhere all day long. For example, specifically over one block, rising and setting in one city. This is the entity that is gang stalking, and the gang stalker is an exceedingly violent sex offender. This is P.O.C. This is an entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct while they're monitoring the evidence. All right, the engineered light is relevant to surveillance, and they are keeping the evidence under surveillance. Sex offenders will be prosecuted for the violence that they committed with knowledge. An exceedingly violent sex offender are the people of the state. Engineered light underneath the covering, engineered light on the wall. These are all predators, including the Chaffee Joint Union High School, have no business around children. That's how you know the demons that are driving school buses. I've already shown you that. That's why they're out gang stalking. In furtherance of murder, committing sexual violence, driving school buses, having access to children, working at school districts. P.O.C. It is currently 7:45 a.m. This is the entity that's engaging in what is sexual violence all day long, because this is all they're doing inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, pacing all around an engineered light, touching, stalking, vagina monitoring. 41205G4 is driving an engineered light. An engineered light is, and they're also touching me with engineered light, which is a sex offense, while a child is sitting in the passenger seat of that vehicle. This is an entity that's going to be thoroughly and comprehensively prosecuted. This is P.O.C. That's Amazon Prime, making sure that you are abundantly clear that it is a terrorist and not a legitimate company. It's keeping American citizens under surveillance, and is doing so while the bus stop is a facilitating venue where the fake sun has remained as of 7:17 a.m., sitting down, standing up, driving by, flying over, is psychopathic pacing, and they're monitoring in the same way that not arriving on time, targeting, knowing exactly where I am. That's why there's no sun that's going to be remaining through the window of any bus route, any direction, at any time of day, contrary to what I'm documenting. When Omnitrans stalking me on the on the roads and the highways, and Omnitrans is gang stalking now, just like these third parties are. P.O.C. Omnitrans is engaged in targeting, very demonic behavior, targeting me while I'm at the bus stop.
doing so while stopping at the bus stop in order to engage in what is amplified noise, stalking with the airport, and doing so with the people of the state. While Omnitrans is utilizing the business in concert with the Ontario police, they'll be going to prison, engaging what is that threat while you document. That's the same thing that Amazon Prime is doing as well. Doing so while they are monitoring the evidence, and that's what's informing the threatening behavior that these demonic companies that are keeping you under surveillance are engaging in. You're going to analyze it and you're going to prosecute them. KLSINC1, that's a third party under the fake sun, which I'm capturing. Brightview gang stalking me with that same airport. The fake sun has not moved. That's the entity that's keeping the fake sun, remember, over the Stater Brothers, where the airport is targeting with the people of the state that are maintaining what is criminal activity creation pursuant to monitoring. 9RKR837. And this is the same pattern of conduct where the entity is maintaining that pattern of conduct with regard to making money. Omnitrans is incorporating the business of that state actor to maintain criminal surveillance in concert with the people of the state. Understand that this is, like I'm showing at 11 o'clock at night, this is surveillance, not traffic. The Ontario police are being disbanded. So that is a foregone conclusion. This is moot. You're looking at everybody else that is incriminated while that demonic and corrupt terrorist organization that is not a police department is engaging in the P.O.C. Those are demons, and so is everybody else in line. They're all listening, and they're, well, 9KRK837 is gang stalking, and doing so in concert with Omnitrans, that's engaging what is making money upon gang stalking and furtherance of murder. And they're monitoring before they arrive criminal in the specific environment where the fake sun is remaining, as my evidence shows, over me at the same location and also in distinctly different locations, targeting with the people of the state and the state of California. Gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport. Engineered light behind me on the wall. This is the entity that is engaging in the P.O.C.
Route 83, Chino.
9:38 a.m.
Please have your fare ready.
These are demons that are engaging in what is harassment and utilizing this announcement system with regard to amplified audible activity to disrupt my sleep when the demons that are operating the buses are targeting. They're demon possessed. More importantly, they're state actors. Bus 1364, gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario Police. License 1656564. This is P.O.C. And this is where the entity is doing so under the fake sun. 7:17 a.m. Omnitrans is engaging in what is systematic monitoring with the people of the state who created this scene in anticipation that I'm going to document. And that's the same knowledge with which you're going to prosecute. The light activity, gang stalking with the police in the video evidence, gang stalking with Amazon Prime via the Ontario International Airport, gang stalking with the people of the state under the enduring fake sun, and the entity is maintaining this environment in distinctly different locations, such as the Ontario Village Shopping Center, such as this OVITT Family Community Library, where the airport is stalking at that venue on the opposite side of the parking lot, and this fake sun is remaining over the entrance. That's how I'm getting Kelly Blacken in the city of Ontario gang stalking at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I've remained at this bus stop, which is a facilitating venue. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:40 a.m. and this is the entity full of sex offenders, and this is what QCD is doing at nightfall, doing so with the people of the state that are walking in into line monitoring. And they're doing so with the entity that's stalking by the city of Ontario, engaging in what is that pattern of conduct. Big T's Trucking, 1538 2 Henry 2, engaging in federal stalking under Title 18, and facilitation, which is relevant to federal prison, license 9 Robert Kelly Robert 837, pacing up and down the sidewalk so that hundreds of people can gang stalk me more effectively, while Omnitrans is en route to engage in what is harassment upon monitoring the evidence that it is engaging in what is keeping under surveillance. P.O.C. 9RKR837, P.O.C. This is called being very foolish. These are diaper wearers that provide evidence against the state. This is where Omnitrans is gang stalking. This is where QCD is gang stalking. This is where the people of the state are gang stalking by stalking at a bus stop. That's how psychopathic. And that's where the third party with the flashes on that I just captured in the previous video is gang stalking with the police facilitating it, and that's federal prison. That's P.O.C. And it is, by the way, 9:41 where the fake sun is remaining. 7:17 a.m. today. 7:23 a.m. The engineer light is increasingly moving down across the wall in order to touch me, and now my shadow's on the floor, and it remains at the same location on the same street. 7:17 a.m. The entity is engaging with a stalking by helicopter with regard to surveillance of evidence, ongoing retaliatory conduct of a sexually violent nature, of a threatening nature, while the entity is engaging with a psychological torture with the people of the state. That is federal prison for the demon operating Omnitrans, federal prison for the demon maintaining light activity, federal prison for the demons that are gang stalking in commercial planes. This is the entity that's keeping that fake sun, federal prison for the terrorist leader Mike LORENZ. This is P.O.C. The fake sun is over me, I want to be clear, while I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library at the same time, which is impossible. The fake sun remains over the OVITT Family Community Library on the opposite side of the same street, the same block, C Street, in Euclid, after 4 p.m., where the fake sun is setting. That's where demons are stalking in helicopters. And that's the entity that's going to be subject to prison and mental examinations. This is the entity that's monitoring the evidence that I'm publishing regarding 2022, informing all of the ongoing terrorism and psychological torture tactics that Amazon Prime, QCD, Omnitrans, the people of the state, Vector, sex offenders inside of the venue of the OVITT Family Community Library, who are the people of the state in general, gang stalking, they're engaging in that together while they keep the evidence under surveillance. And this is the entity that is engaged in the ongoing conspiracy to commit murder. The Ontario police are being disbanded. They're gang stalking on the roads and the highways, which you see. Doing so as demons under the fake sun. They're mentally ill. That in and of itself is speaking to being unfit in the legal profession. They're gang stalking with the city of Ontario that's under the fake sun at Stater Brothers in that parking lot, while they're maintaining an entirely different environment, which is speaking to what is removing, what this is serving to prosecute Paul Leon, who is being removed from office, while the police department, the fire department, the businesses, the people of the state, and including that office, the city of Ontario, Paul Leon himself is a vagina monitoring demon. This is P.O.C. Stalking by helicopter is that which is a basis, an unprecedented basis for federal prison. Terrorism, because you're engaging in what is documenting while demons are stalking you. Walking in front of you, walking behind you is a method of surveillance surrounding, while they are doing so under the fake sun. P.O.C. It is currently 9:44 a.m. That's a retaliatory method. They're doing the same thing inside, sparking with light activity. Psychopaths that are stalking inside of the venue of the library. While I put them all over X, put them on the Google Drive, they're stalking in the same manner with light while they're keeping me under surveillance. And they do so on behalf of the vagina monitors, the Ontario police, demons that are monitoring all day long like Omnitrans, Amazon Prime, the sex offenders whose license plates are going all over the internet so that you know and you can witness the prosecution of terrorists who are violent sex offenders, the people of the state of California. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:44 a.m. They're all engaging in stalking with that police department. This is speaking to criminal activity that Amazon Prime is engaging in. They're stalking and terrorizing and harassing and psychologically torturing, just like the Ontario police, in helicopter. Psychopathic. The people of the state stalking in grocery stores, in libraries, at gas stations, in traffic. Psychopathic. Stalking in places like bathrooms on behalf of this entity as one that's obsessed with my genitalia. Psychopathic and sexually perverted. Predatory. Mentally ill. Stalking with light. Mentally ill. Psychopathic. They're going to prison for what the pattern of conduct is showing. This is P.O.C. These are demons. That's impossible light activity while they're monitoring with minor children, sex offenders, PNAYFIX, and AQS Mechanical Inc., maintaining criminal surveillance. The purpose of the fake sun that's over me, as a matter of images, as a matter of evidence, where the city of Ontario and the blue vans are now stalking here. Yesterday, they're stalking me while I'm remaining at the Stater Brothers, at the entrance, at the parking lot, where Safeguard is gang stalking with the airport, with the city of Ontario. That's all in images and on video. The entity is maintaining engineer light. While you see it in the shade, that's the purpose of what is not even, this isn't even sunlight. While the entity keeps, there's only one sun in the natural environment, and the one sun does not remain idle, like I'm documenting between F Street and C Street at the OVITT Family Community Library in the evening. Moreover, since there is one sun, what is covering everything where you're at? This is not sunlight, it's engineer light, and that's the purpose of what is being present in the path, while the demon possessed who surround you in that environment are engaging in demonic behaviors that you're not paying attention to, such as light swiping across the wall, while they are engaged in surveillance, not traffic, like the Ontario police on Euclid Avenue, crossing path on video. They're going to federal prison. They're being disbanded, like the Ontario police, engaging in aerial surveillance over my head in this environment. Most importantly, legally relevant, doing so while I'm documenting evidence of them conspiring my murder, gang stalking me. That's relevant to surveillance, not regular air traffic, and they're not free to engage in it either. They're doing so while Amazon Prime is deviating, first of all, from where the airports are maintaining any flights that would ever be in the sky space nor hovering, and they're doing so under the fake sun. They're doing so while Omnitrans is on the roads and the highways under the guise of maintaining a business, incorporating that business. That's a federal RICO case against everything that I just spoke to, including the demons that are gang stalking at this intersection with minor children while engineer light drags across the wall. That's the purpose of everything that's covering. It's not sunlight. Neither is, obviously, that's not sunlight as it drags across the wall. But none of this is sunlight, and that's not the sun. And it remains around me. That's also the greater context. This is the pattern of clients who are maintaining corrupt businesses like Amazon Prime, like Vector, like Krispy Kreme, like what the city of Ontario is engaging in, and the entity is doing so with those that are immigrants that are being deported. Businesses that are facilitating terrorism is what is the legal analysis, the conclusion regarding gang stalking immigrants who are working for companies. They're going to be prosecuted for facilitating terrorism, for engaging in terrorism by hiring immigrants who are also gang stalking through those businesses, and they're making money. The entity is doing so with the intent to commit murder. This is all surveillance. And the Ontario police engage in what is gang stalking by helicopter. Amazon Prime engages in gang stalking by commercial plane. The people of the state are engaging in gang stalking while engineer lights moving across this wall, supplementing the light, the purpose for which they are in the environment. They're doing so while they have no constitutional protection, no shelter. And as you see, the entity doing so with impunity, going right over to the third-party gang stalker CHEVRON. Gang stalking with QCD, this is the exact same manner. The fake sun is over me on this street. Last night, the fake moon is over me, while QCD is engaging in sexual assault and battery, and the people of the state just go about their business. This is impunity. This is conspicuous surveillance. This is omnitransit gang crossing path. Remember, it's very deliberate. They're doing so in any means necessary. That's because their mental illness, the infection being demon possession, they lack the ability of self-control. And I'm going to prosecute based on your lack of self-control to gang stalk me. I'm going to prosecute you for that. These are companies that are going to be federally prosecuted for conspiring murder, for being sex offenders, for being stalkers who are terrorists, and making money on top of that. That's a massive and unprecedented RICO case, and it is also against the government. This is P.O.C. Ontario Police, the City of Ontario, doesn't do anything other than confirm that they're all stalkers. They're threats to children, they're a threat to the public, they are also a threat to you while they are making money through companies that you're supporting, and you need to know who they are. And they do include what is Amazon Prime. They do include demon-possessed gang stalking bus drivers. Those are businesses as well. They're engaged in sexual violence, terrorism. It does not change because of the logo or the location or the face that Satan is using. That's what you're getting from the P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 10 o'clock in the morning. Where am I at yesterday? Because I'm not on C Street. I'm not at the OVITT Family Community Library at C Street and Lemon, which is on the opposite side of the same downtown Ontario luxury apartments. This is the landmark because you're going to see the pattern, big picture. You're going to see the whole thing. And I'm not at this location yet. I'm still at the Stater Brothers. I'm still at the, 156, what is Bonita Court, where the fake sun's over the people of the state's venue, just like this. A venue. This is not a private business, not private property. It's where surveillance is underway. Surveillance by the government that utilizes little kitties. Those little kitties are demons, just like their demon-possessed parents, 9SNX432, who are birthing terrorists. Their infection comes with them through the womb, by the way. They're demons. And they operate businesses. That's what this is. Chevron, that's a prosecution of Chevron. It's a prosecution of the business, every business. And they are crossing state lines, by the way, with the intent to engage in criminal surveillance. I am referring to the language of the existing federal law, Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. They enter trucks, engaging in interstate commerce, intrastate commerce. They're doing so with the criminal intent to keep another under surveillance, because that's what the entire state of California is doing. And they're making money while doing so. Truck drivers driving across state lines are gang stalking in and out of California. I already showed you that as I go from California to Nevada. This is P.O.C. 9PJT308. Never is driving on this street or any street going to result in light across the wall. That's the pattern of conduct. And on top of that, it's supernatural. And it's punctuated by stalking and harassing me and psychologically torturing, targeting with the people of the state. Remember the demon that's here at 8 o'clock in the morning under the fake sun? It's 10 o'clock and here's the fake sun. And that was the day, January 19th to be exact, where the Ontario police are stalking by helicopter. This is the entity that's engaged in that together as one. That's not free conduct. This is state action. They're all exposed and vulnerable, and they're all going to be prosecuted. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaged in what it's targeting. Omnitrans is fully engaged in knowledge of who I am. They're targeting while I'm asleep at the bus stop. They're targeting while I'm awake at the bus stop. They're targeting while demons come to the bus stop just to be close to me, gang stalking. Third party CHATAS documented this sex offender before, engaged in what is ongoing surveillance for years. This is the pattern of conduct. It's currently 10:02 a.m. This is where the entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct, and the entity is doing so on behalf of the government. That's the state that's keeping you under surveillance, conspiring your murder. That's the state that is, again, engaging in what is the pattern of conduct through everyone, everywhere that you're at. And they're doing so while they are demons stalking with light. And this is occurring on the inside of buildings. All these demons do is go inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, pacing all day long. This is all they're doing all around me, monitoring my every move and monitoring everything I'm doing on my devices. And the knowledge that you have of that is the fact that the sun is not over 156 Bonita Court. And it's also over the OVITT Family Community Library. Nor would it still be here over me at the same bus stop as I'm documenting at 7:17, 7:23 a.m., where Brightview is going to be subject to a federal RICO case, where the entities engage in what is the pattern of conduct with the City of Ontario conspiring murder with the people of the state. That's the P.O.C, where Amazon Prime is engaging in criminal activity regarding a federal RICO case, and Amazon Prime is engaging in that pattern of conduct on the roads and the highways, doing so where they are also engaging in monitoring evidence. So 2022 evidence is up. Now you have Amazon Prime pacing on Euclid Avenue. I would have documented it already. They have not been driving on this street with regard to on a daily basis at night, multiple trucks. This is what the demons are doing now because of what I'm publishing. It's all serving my purposes. You're going to prison, you're going to mental asylums, and you're going to pay with regard to what is conspiring as a business, the murder of an American citizen whom you have no constitutional protection as a corrupt business that's actually a cover for surveillance in the United States with the government. You're not even a private party. You're not a private company. You're a terrorist. You're engaged in domestic terrorism in the United States, making money. All right, and that's how the government is doing it, and they're doing it with the entity that I'm exposing by name, and I'm going to prosecute them. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:04 a.m. where the fake sun that is over Euclid Avenue, remaining over me at Euclid Avenue, where the entities engage in that pattern of conduct, and I want to be clear, they're doing so with regard to knowledge of where I am, no strangers, and that fake sign is going to move to be across the street, to be over the OVITT Family Community Library as I arrive there, not a natural environment where it's there already and you're approaching, but this isn't even the sun as it's hovering over. Secondly, it's not the sun, as I'm stating duration of time analysis, and it's still here after 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock when I'm at this building right here, Bethel Congregation, and the airport is monitoring my vagina in the bathroom of that venue. And the entity is keeping the fake sun over me at Chevron at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, in the parking lot of the ARCO at 12:40 in the afternoon, and the entity is doing cartwheels over downtown Ontario luxury apartments, again, stalking as an airport. This is P.O.C. This is all the evidence that's already on the record. Stalking with light is the ongoing conduct of the demon-possessed. UCLA breeds demons. They're corrupt. It's a corrupt institution. They're going to college, engaging what is education under the fake sun. This is P.O.C. That's a psychopath. That's a pattern of conduct, and the entity is engaged in what is surveillance in plain sight. All right, that's the entity that's engaging in what is conspicuous surveillance, which is an unlawful threat. It's already unlawful for the government to engage in surveillance because the entity is engaged in what is public corruption. The conspicuous methods of surveillance are prosecuted as an unlawful threat to an American citizen as you're analyzing the audacity of a stalker that is then kidnapping and defaming you. All right, doing so while making money off of gang stalking you as well. All right, that's P.O.C. and then serving to what is defame you when you don't have the evidence that is, but that's how the pattern of conduct operates. You're going to prosecute Omnitrans, Amazon Prime, FedEx, Vector. You're going to prosecute venues like I'm showing you everywhere where you can't even go without being gang stalked, at church, at the grocery store, in the bathroom, at the gas station, walking down the sidewalk. You're going to prosecute for that. P.O.C.
That's a demon that's monitoring, not sleep. The engineer light directly rebuts the poor acting that the demon-possessed maintain, and the jig has been up. That's why impossible light activity is in here. That's why it's on the floor, shadows on both sides, and the light up here. They're going to be diagnosed, they're going to be put in mental facilities while they engage in gang stalking, and the manner in which it is clearly exposed and the malice with which you do it is also known. They're going to be diagnosed and put in facilities for this. This is the system whereby they engaged in kidnapping as well. This poor act is a threat to American citizens, and it's psychopathic. And it's also, with regard to the evidence, delusional. And there is no connection with the light activity. This is pacing, okay, with the light activity that's out here. That's the P.O.C. Absolutely no connection. They're demons. So I'm breaking apart that illusion. You have the entity that's maintaining surveillance, light activity, Securitas, the third party, the fake sun that remains over me as I arrive, pursuant to what's already here when Kelly Blacken is pacing outside at 9 o'clock in the morning over the same entrance, but not when I go somewhere else. Kelly Blacken is stalking in that environment. It's for the gangster everybody in this environment, including John that works here. The demons that are gang stalking at the entrance, the circulation desk, they're maintaining surveillance at the circulation desk area. They're maintaining surveillance, and they're engaging in surveillance of vagina. This is and it's the same impulse that you saw on the wall over here yesterday evening, where the families, they're gang stalking. It's P.O.C. Alrighty, this is an unlawful threat too. The entity is doing nothing other than keeping you surrounded. And then in the afternoon, the engineer lights all over the floor concentrated. This so-called sunlight is on the floor on the inside. Absurdity. This is surveillance. They dig up, drill up, water down, paint, whatever it is for presence in the path and light activity. OVITT Family Community Library employees and the Ontario Police, Securitas included, and the people of the state engaging in malicious assertions, criminal surveillance, criminal summoning, and kidnapping are going to prison, federal prison. This is P.O.C. It is still Friday, January 30th, 2026. It's 10:52 a.m. So during use of the Ontario Wi-Fi, this is again relevant to federal stalking, criminal surveillance on the Wi-Fi, which no disclaimer is going to remove criminal liability and civil liability. You cannot make a disclaimer and shield yourself from a federal prosecution for a criminal activity. That is not what disclaimers serve, by the way, and there's nothing that is speaking to what is surveillance that is outside and extraordinarily accepted toward what the average disclaimer is speaking to when you utilize free Wi-Fi, open Wi-Fi, regarding anything that you're looking at is subject to supervision and whatnot. That is distinct from surveillance. Surveillance serving a criminal purpose as well, which is murder. Ontario Wi-Fi is a relevant weapon regarding surveillance, and they're engaging in what is obstruction of justice using the Ontario Wi-Fi, which is relevant to the ongoing psychopathic pacing amongst the engineer light under the fake sun over the building inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, where Alexander and John and the rest of these demons are pacing around with the engineer light, exploiting the developmentally challenged, using them as a means of activity creation, monitoring another, doing so while they are actually mentally ill themselves. This is serving for breaking down the illusions amongst a corrupt society that is engaged in what is keeping you under surveillance while they are also all demons. The entities engaging in this engineer light that's on the ceiling inside the fake sun that's traveling above me while I report to where Alexander Grigg works is speaking to what is his criminal purpose and his severe mental illness and his sexual proclivities, his interest in the vagina of another woman that would never consent, okay? And I'm not going to consent by force, which is what gang stalking is, and that's also how Alexander Grigg is going to be prosecuted as a violent sex offender, engaging in what is sexual violence while he is shown to be engaging in very mentally ill behavior, which is criminal. He's pacing while you're aware of that engineer light that's on the ceiling, while you're aware of the engineer light that he's walking in, while he's doing so pursuant to ongoing maintenance of noise. He's psychologically torturing me and harassing. He even does so with regard to what I publish on the internet at the moment that I publish it, while I'm using the Ontario Wi-Fi network, where the entity has engaged in what is federal stalking for the purposes of obstruction. This is while I am fully signed into my Google account, particularly folder number 244. In the midst of publishing, the entity is engaged in what is quote-unquote signing me out, and that is again merely monitoring on your device, surveillance on your device to stifle what is evidence that's publishing onto the internet, because I took a screenshot of what is showing the fact that my phone is still in fact logged into the Google account. But the entity that is engaged in monitoring you online, that's Kelly Blacken, that's pacing into the administration door, by the way, and she walks right by me with regard to communicating a threat. She's a psychopath. She's a vagina monitor. She's a closeted homosexual. All right, I just want to be clear on that. But the entity is doing so with regard to knowledge. You know that they know everything that I'm saying and doing because of that impossible, inexplicable, insurmountable evidence of what is light that is just manifesting on the ceiling, and everyone can be as quiet as they want, because I'm going to prosecute you with that pregnant silence that engineer light is telling on you. It's screaming at the top of its lungs: surveillance, demons, conspiracy to murder, psychological torture, perpetual sexual violence. That's the entity that's engaging in that, and the entity is doing so while they are also aware of what I'm doing on my device. Pacing in and out of the administration door is criminal activity. Kelly Blacken nor Alexander Grigg have any constitutional protection while they're engaged in criminal conduct inside of the building of a facilitating venue where the government's maintaining surveillance through them. All right, and it is currently, by the way, hi Kelly. Oh no, that's not Kelly. That's some other minion with a tattoo all over her chest. I documented her, and the entity engaged in what is monitoring on my device as well, changing the dates on my images. And I spoke to that after I found the images. They moved it to like August of like the beginning of the year. That's why it wasn't in the folder and published. I published it on the podcast. I added those images. That was a method of surveillance on the device. So the entity is, I don't know this minion's name. So this is the third party that is engaged in what is knowledge pursuant to what's being documented. And they're all psychopaths that are sitting around acting like they don't know. But then you're engaging in criminal summoning. Then you're making assertions about molesting kids. And then you're in the environment where sunlight is appearing all over the walls and the ceilings and flying about and touching me, even aimed toward me in the depths of the building. That is an unlawful threat to your life. Okay, and while you're stalking and threatening with the government that murders and kidnaps, you're going to prison. This is the entity that's engaged in gang stalking. Okay, so that entity is engaging in what is every door closure, every body walking by, just like Amazon Prime, every vehicle driving by, every plane flying over, every sound that you hear is pursuant to detailed surveillance, and it's underway by the demon-possessed. These are monitoring spirits who are now not only exposed as the demon-possessed, they're engaged in criminal activity. All right, and they engage in criminal activity that they thought that the federal government, moreover you, those who are witnessing, those who are aware of everything that's going on, and you are the ones that sit up and watch people be executed. You sit back in fear and as cowards and watch it like it's a television show. You refer to it as things such as the Olympics, when these are human beings who have a right to not be subject to it. May God have mercy on you. I'm going to prosecute, however, and I'm exposing what is Satan. And I just want to be clear, you are fully engaged in Satan's system while you engage in any of the aforementioned, any of it. It's currently 10:58 a.m. The entity's engaged in surveillance inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. The entity, hi Alexander, how's it going? Alexander's a hefty one who's making what is ongoing light activity, pacing to and from the circulation desk with that circus-like conduct above my head while he's threatening me. Okay, he is stalking on behalf of the Ontario police, who are on video stalking by helicopter with hostility. That's the same ongoing vengeance that the entity's engaging in while there's psychopaths pacing all around. Okay, he's engaging in the bidding of those kidnappers, and they're doing so while they are all obsessing over my vagina, and justice will be served for that. It's 10:58 a.m. This is surveillance on the internet, engaging what is obstruction on on my device, unlawful surveillance, no warrant, no probable cause, no legitimate interest by the state. The state's maintaining surveillance inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, and everybody coming into the OVITT Family Community Library, including the one in the parking lot with the bad weave. She's in here engaging in surveillance with the rest of the entity, all of them just stalking. That's all you're doing in jail, in case you did not know that. You are fully exposed to prosecution. You're stalking at work. You're stalking coming to the library, using the computers, checking out a book, bringing your kids to the checkout, whatever it is that you're doing, because you think that there's some sort of purchase or transaction, that's some sort of exception. No, it's actually an omission. You were there at that time. You're being prosecuted, and it is literally that simple. But this is the entity that's engaging that because they are demons who are obsessed. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's 10:59 a.m. The entities engage in this while they are fully engaged in surveilling and are hostile to the 2022 documentation that is being systematically published online, and that's also going to inform federal prison damages and the prosecution of terrorists, those who are also in custody, access to children and the developmentally challenged, like OPARC and ANTHESIS, as well as those that are subject to deportation and going to federal prison. Anybody of any sort of quote-unquote personal relation. In other words, I know your name. You're serially, continuously, repeatedly engaging in gang stalking. You're sharing in criminal summoning. You're sharing in kidnapping. You're sharing in criminal defamation. You're monitoring with the entity that's stalking by helicopter, engaging in criminal summoning together. You're making any threats. You're engaging in theft of my property. You're engaging in what is assault and battery. The entity that's engaging in what is physically harm. And while you're being molested with light, that is a physical harm. But this is the sexual nature of the unlawful touching pursuant to monitoring you. So I am making a distinction right now. But it is all unlawful touching, and the entity doing so while they are monitoring this evidence. And so that's what the federal courts are being aware of. Do not forget that, because that's why these fools of Amazon Prime who are going to pay me. Bezos is going to pay an American citizen, which he is unlawfully keeping under surveillance while profiting from Amazon Prime, that is full of demons who are engaged in criminal surveillance in the United States of America and are targeting me in California, and doing so in every city and every county with gang stalking police departments who are acting in furtherance of murdering me. And Amazon Prime shares in that psychological torture and terrorism with full knowledge, proven through that environment that surrounds me, that Amazon Prime contributes to, including while Amazon Prime is documented, and they sit back and watch that surveillance and commit more terrorism. You're going to pay for that. And it's unprecedented damages. And the terrorist leader is Bezos. It is currently 11:01 a.m. This is P.O.C. Okay, the entity is maintaining ongoing surveillance inside of the bathroom. I'm going to go ahead and document some of these perverts, these closeted homosexuals that are monitoring my vagina. Hi, Gianna.
Gianna, yes.
Sorry, I was going to call you Alexis. Sorry. Hi. Yes, honey, hi. Can I have some wipes, please?
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you have any?
Yeah, let's get on.
Is that from the church, Rise?
No, this is for our adult literacy program, Read Write
okay.
Rise.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to say, there's a church called
Hi, are you here to rescue the computer? Fix it. Please. Thanks, Erica.
Thank you. These are vagina monitors, and that's the city of Ontario that comes with regard to crossing paths. So coming and arriving, fixing a computer. A computer is also a communication device. They are demons that are centering their attention on one thing, and the intention that they actually have is monitoring, stalking someone. And that's psychopathic. While I'm exposing a government engaging in that through a population, the population, even though it is great, it is not great in intelligence. And so the entity has engineer light on the ceiling. You can talk about brain surgery. You are engaging in the elements of monitoring. They're not even talking about anything that highly intellectual. They're engaging in what is gang stalking in a manner where they're maintaining the pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they're talking about what is the subject of the venue. Books, libraries, computers. They're engaged in what is monitoring, and so is Alexis and Yesenia, while a demon that's engaged in the pattern of conduct in the same way that Alexander is pacing above, Kelly Blacken is pacing above, this closeted homosexual, Lindsay, and these demons that are pacing in the venue, they're doing so while a demon comes into the bathroom to maintain surveillance next to me. It's the entity that's around you, in the same way that the city of Ontario is representing the entity. The entire state of California is engaging in surveillance while the city of Ontario maintains surveillance around me. Okay, it's the same thing with regard to being in the bathroom. It's the same thing with regard to walking back to the computer. A demon that's staring at a book on the bookshelf while they're standing in your path is stalking you. They're surrounding. Okay, and this is the entity that's engaged in that. Limping and pacing as a closeted homosexual that likes to present as a heterosexual woman is Starla Viaba, monitoring while the entity is maintaining a stalking presence in the bathroom, in the venue where engineer light is all over the walls, the floors, the ceiling, while they're engaging in surveillance, including in that bathroom. And that's the entity that is the government that's obsessively monitoring my vagina that shall be prosecuted as a sex offender, and that includes every company that's Vector, that's the city of Ontario that's engaging in what is the business of the people is criminal surveillance. So that's actually what the city of Ontario is engaging in, and they're engaging in what is facilitation of terrorism. And Pollyanna is being removed from office for monitoring my vagina and for facilitating such unprecedented sexual violence and perversion amongst the public, and he wants to be paid for that and conceal his identity as a terrorist by referring to himself and have the entity refer to him as a mayor. And he is no such mayor. That has an actual definition, purpose, and significance. And the entity's engaged in what is vagina monitoring while a demon goes into the bathroom. And they're doing so, I just want to be clear, with this level of evidence, it's like having the fingerprints all over. The officials are looking at the surveillance camera of you committing the killing. There's no mystery about what it is that you did and that you are the one that's responsible for it. You even looked up at the camera in the midst of it and realized the camera was watching you. And then you are, with regard to knowledge of that, you're anticipating them to come at any moment and come pick you up and arrest you. You engage in more of this ongoing conduct on camera because of the fact, as a means of retaliating, because you're mad, because you got caught for killing someone else. This is the rationale behind what the demon-possessed are doing. And that's with real-time knowledge. They are engaging in what is stalking. That's harassment and psychological torture of a sexually violent nature. I am going to go stalk you in the bathroom based on what is your ongoing documentation, because I am hostile, because I am angry, because I and my sick mind think that that's going to stop you. It has not stopped me, by the way. This is why I have over 9,000 videos of the entity proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and with regard to science that is also on my side, speaking to the fact that a government is stalking and the government is keeping you under surveillance as well. Nonetheless, this is the mindset behind the sick entity that is demon-possessed, that engages in what are failed psychological torture tactics against me. This is the P.O.C. that is informing you about those methods, and it's criminal activity. It's criminal, absolutely criminal. It's unprecedented criminal conduct. You're engaging in war tactics surrounding my genitalia in the bathroom. Stalking as a means of harassing. I want to freak you out. I want to creep you out. I want to harass and bother. I want to traumatize and violate. I want to follow you around as much as I can, especially since you know it now and you're telling everyone, and I'm really angry about that. And so I'm going to do more and more of it while I'm going to federal prison as a terrorist leader, i.e. Mike Lorenz. While I'm going to federal prison as a kidnapper, pick one, anyone inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, they engaged in kidnapping. And this is an entity that's engaged in that.
Starla Villalba is literally on camera stalking in the parking lot of the same venue, the OVITT Family Community Library, by the Ontario Police Department. It would behoove them to act like they're not engaging in the pattern of conduct. You're not engaging in that with the engineer light and sitting down and acting like nothing's happening. That is not acting like nothing's happening. You look like the psychopaths that are threatening. The failed, unpersuasive act is a threat. This is the government that's engaging in that conduct. That's a threat. That's the foundation for criminal defamation, and nobody is going to be defamed. The entity is going to be diagnosed, both convicted and committed. That's what's happening. But that's the formula. That's how it's supposed to operate. And I've broken down this whole system, removed all the illusions, and shown you not only is this the system, it's highly unintelligent. It's patently absurd. It's ridiculous. This is not witchcraft. These people are not elite. There's nothing magical. They're psychotic and they're delusional. Okay? And if this were a competition, which it is not, you lost a long time ago. You lost years ago, actually. You lost years ago. I'm just going to own your company now. You're just going to be homeless after you get done paying all that you owe, that you stole. You're just going to prison. You're not getting out when you are serving the penalties for what you've been engaging in for a prolonged period. You lost a long time ago. The evidence shows that. This is an entity that's engaged in that level of conduct with that knowledge and with that delusional intent. That is a threat, however, to American citizens. And it's all the government. Okay, that's the government that's stalking in the bathroom stall and engineer line, and you have the entity that is employed at the venue, pacing all around together as demons, monitoring me together, and one of the demons just comes in to engage in presence in the path while they're all salivating over my vagina, all of them. No exaggeration. That's relevant to the city of Ontario, Securitas, the demons that are playing the Jamaican music outside while they're maintaining light activity. They're monitoring, it's surveillance inside, including in the bathroom. This is what Vector is doing. It's the same pattern of conduct. You can replace the label, the logo, the face, the name. It's the same P.O.C. What are they doing all day long while the fake sun is still here, like I showed you yesterday, after 4 p.m. outside of that same window where they're digging in the dirt, which is supposed to be a cloak where you're not able to recognize that they're engaged in nothing other than stalking me. Me in particular. Nobody else is being stalked. They're all engaging in the stalking together. Because the fake sun is still there after 4 p.m., the stalker came into the bathroom. And the stalker is the U.S. government. It's the P.O.C. And they're going to prison for the unprecedented terrorism that is proven in this country now. It's 11:26 a.m. It's January 30th. This is P.O.C. I am at Computer 1, where the entity is centering a light activity, centering the peculiarized light activity. That's with Securitas in the city of Ontario, using the resources of the municipality, the city of Ontario vehicles, the Ontario International Airport. As you see on video, it's uploaded to the Google. They're flying over the library. They're flying around the library, adjacent to the library. The entity is engaged in all manner of stalking, pacing around, and it's stalking as the entity that keeps a fake sun over the building that I remain in until closing. And everybody inside, pursuant to the same formula, the demons are aware of the most minute movement that I make, every syllable that I utter, everything that I'm doing on my device, and they're moving around in engineer light, which the entity is maintaining presence outside. The flashing of light, the aerial surveillance, the pacing in and out of the doors, the pacing throughout the building, like what the entity is doing via Kelly Blacken, Starla Villalba, Jasmine, John, Alexander Grigg, Sarah LeBlanc, these demons that are gang stalking as employees, and you're going to be prosecuted for terrorism. They're state actors, by the way, so they're facilitating in the shoes of the government, just like a third party is. However, it's relevant to malice because they are state actors. So they're supposed to be some sort of sneaky means of the city of Ontario getting away with gang stalking. Oh, this is a library. No, they're vagina monitoring demons. Okay, and that was Jana and Yesenia engaging in that as well, while the entity enters into the restroom, and that's the entity that is threatening your life and engaging what is a sexually violent threat while they are engaging in that pattern of conduct, and while doing so, then summoning the entity, talking about something that didn't even happen. That's how gang stalking operates. This is why you're going to prison. It's P.O.C.
License plate 08283, dark blue Tesla. Serious stalking. Just ongoing stalking for the government. These are third parties indeed, doing a lot of work for the government. And that work has earned them a federal prosecution as terrorists. P.O.C. 5KA, 5CL, that's Arizona. It's 11:02 p.m. at the Gator Glass is where this demon is driving behind all these closed businesses. It's 11 at night. And what's the purpose of that? First of all, it's pacing. This is a psychopath. You're also a psychopath because you're stalking me as a so-called stranger that's gang stalking, trying to murder somebody that you don't even know. Not that there's ever a reason or a circumstance where that's acceptable, but you're getting to the fact that these are supposed to be strangers that are stalking you. That's psychopathic. That's psychotic. And in the middle of the night, where you know exactly who I am and where I'm at, you're driving around in circles, driving behind closed down businesses in the dark, lurking to engage in what is touching me with light, and then you're speeding off because you know I'm documenting as well. All of that is relevant to mental illness. P.O.C. It's 11:03 p.m. Just to be clear, that's the airport. That is indeed stalking. All right. And because I started recording, they're doing the cartwheels, and it is equally stalking. It is equally irrelevant to the operations of the Ontario International Airport. It is equally in the specific environment. Shadow here, stalker there, license 8 Charlie Thomas 662 on the roads and the highways. Here's a whole, I have a whole audience of shadows, right? Where the entity is stalking by the airport, and this is Hope Boulevard. Now all of a sudden we're flying on Hope Boulevard, which again, the airport is south of Hope Boulevard. The entity is engaging what is coming from the direction, and while you're engaging what is stalking me at the Chevron, at the bus stop, at the ARCO, at the library, you are engaging what is, they're flying south like they're landing somewhere. The airport isn't, they're north of where the airport, even the property is. But even this, you're not taking off your stalking. And in this environment, just like I'm documenting these demons, Emporia Place is stalking while this demon's molesting the entire apartment complex. They're telling on everybody, and so is the airport. I'm prosecuting the people of the state. You will be seeing me publishing videos of the terrorist license plates, their addresses. I will be prosecuting it as for the public benefit, that you identify, that you see, that you can look up, that you can recall the license plates, the addresses of the sex offenders who are the people of the state. These are terrorists. These are enemies of the United States. They seek to conspire your murder. And they're doing it in plain sight, conspicuous surveillance with the government. This is the state. These animals are being publicly exposed, and I'm prosecuting them. And they're going to pay me for this, but they're also going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:07 p.m. at Vine and Hope Boulevard, and this is a sex offense. P.O.C. Sex offense. They're here stalking. It's a sex offense. 8 Xavier Bob Larry 188. The airport is evidence against that third party. I will prosecute you. I will prosecute you. You'll lose custody of your children. You'll be deported out of this country. You will be prosecuted as a terrorist. This is P.O.C. This is the demon-possessed congregation, Vol's Church. They're not a real church. This is P.O.C. It's currently 11:07 p.m.